Hey guys, happy Sunday. Popping in here for our collective week ahead card pulls. How is everybody doing on the other side of that full moon in Sagittarius? Here in the US, it's Memorial Day weekend, which is known to be sort of an official kickoff to summer. And while it has been a busy weekend for me, as usual, baseball was on the list of things to do with my son. We've actually had a lot of downtime in between games, so I'm very grateful for that, especially now for this time to pop on here to pull our cards for the week ahead. So if you're catching this on my Empowerment Sharecast on the Marco Polo app, you know what we do. This is where we tune in each week using intuitively selected tarot and oracle card decks to see what's coming in energetically for us as we move into the week ahead. And then we are also pulling in this month rune stones as well. Believe it or not, this is our last week with Odin. So I can't wait to see what he has to bring forward for us this final week of May. If you're catching this in one of my social media spaces, I'm Marissa from Growing the Flow, and this is a preview of what I do each week on my free Empowerment Sharecast on the Marco Polo app. We tap into the collective energies for some guidance, insight, and wisdom into our week ahead. We read tarot from an empowered place. So it's all about using tarot as the tool that it is to connect in with your own inner wisdom. With that, over there on that app, I'm able to offer you a personal card pull. So if you would like a personal card pull for your week ahead to see what's coming in, you can quick reply to this polo if you're watching it there, or respond in any way that works for you, and we will get you a personal card and rune stone for the week ahead. Now, I keep forgetting to pull the rune at the end, so I might just pull that first today. I'm gonna hold it so I don't forget. But a couple of things to share with you. So yeah, believe it or not, it is the last week of May. That means we're getting ready to kick off a new empowerment pack for the month of June. So empowerment packs are a way that you and I can work together more comprehensively throughout the month. I will be tuning in for the June altar this week, where I will bring in some intuitively channeled words and themes for the month ahead and set our altar space, choose the decks we'll be working with throughout the month. And then for the first of the month, that first week of the month, we do a month ahead reading. So it's a very detailed reading that's going to pull in some color, crystal, spirit, animal, and other aspects that you can work with for the month. Then we get into your personal cards for beginning, middle, end of the month, bonus oracle card messages, and more. And then we get together again for 2 readings around the lunations of the month, the new moon and the full moon. So more to come on that, but it is open for booking. So if you want to check out the link, I'll be providing it on Marco Polo. Or again, if you're seeing this on social media, check the caption or my bio, just reply in the comment, reach out to me. We'll get you all set up. So I'd love to have you along if you want to connect. June is a great month. We're going to be having the solstice and connecting in again with some fun seasonal decks and more as we step into the new season, depending on where you are in the world, whether it is the summer or winter solstice. I will have some of my favorite spreads available as special readings that are available for the month. Like I said, if you want to check out the link to my bookings, you'll see some of those things are already there. So let's get ready to tune in. This is the card pull, and then we will be rolling into messages for the week ahead. I do each day separately, so you can just kind of pick and choose and watch as you feel guided. We'll also talk a little bit about the energetic weather, and we're going to be pulling an oracle card from a gorgeous new deck. It's actually the deck I'm using for the Sagittarius full moon card pulls that are going on right now. If you saw the special I have through this weekend, so today is the last day. If you do want to get in on the full moon and Sagittarius reading we did with an amazing deck, it's called the Inner Child Fairy Tale Tarot. It's a real fun one. So we did a 5-card spread. So those messages have already been recorded and are available immediately, along with a card from this oracle deck we'll be pulling in your personal card pulls for the full moon. So if you want to join for that special offering, that is available through today. So there's still time for that. Speaking of time, the oracle deck that I'm speaking of is the Time Traveler's Oracle, brand new from Denise Linn. It's gorgeous. And I had to pull out the time that is captured here in this card, because it is the Vikings. So we see, for example, it's a gorgeous deck that takes you through different moments in time and space throughout the world and the universe that weaves in beautiful messages through gorgeous cards. So we've been using this deck for the personal card pulls for the full moon in Sagittarius reading. And I'm going to pull one for us this week as well to go with this amazing Odin's Playbook by Danielle Norman. I'm going to miss working with this again. It's been a wonderful month of messages. So we're going to get to that in just a moment. Let's get the rune stone first. So if you would like a personal card pull this week, you will also get one of these rune stones pulled as well. So let's see what we have coming in. Okay, and I love this deck because it has this awesome little card with it, a little cute card that we can use to determine which one we are looking at, and it's at the very top. It's, I can't see it. It is Manaz, Humankind, Interdependence, and Man. So we will dive into the rune meaning for our collective reading as we go. Let's pull our Time Traveler's Oracle card first, and then we'll get into our 5-card spread. So let's see what's coming up here for our collective week ahead. A Time Traveler's Oracle message to go with Odin's messages. One card, please. I showed it when I was previewing. Of course, it's flow. So this is the card of flow from the River Nile in Egypt. It's card 14. So we will feel into that. Look at that amazing ancient Egyptian pyramids and this flow, right? We are flowing. We are growing in the flow with all of these energies that we're moving through at this time. So the Sagittarius full moon, you may have felt that shift. I know I did. Definitely lighting a fire and bringing in some fresh energy as far as timelines that are available to us at this time, turning the page, new chapters, writing that story, you know, stepping into the new. So with that, let's see what's coming up for this week. We have our 5-card spread where each day of the week is going to be sort of a placeholder for energy this week. Of course, time is not linear, so these cards interact with each other throughout the week. It's just a matter of utilizing Monday through Friday to kind of hold that space for us when it comes to tapping into our collective energy this week and seeing what may come up for you, which of course, collective readings mean that some messages may resonate more than others. You're always invited to take what resonates, leave the rest. There's always someone else there to pick it up, and I love hearing all your stories. It's amazing to see how the energies play out for each of us so uniquely. So Monday is just sort of kicking off the week and setting a tone. So what will Odin give us here for that? Ooh, we got 2. We'll take this one. Ooh, where are we going? The Chariot. I knew it. Yep, we've got the Chariot coming in here. So yeah, there is movement. There's a trip, there's a journey. I'm just going to tuck these off to the side. You guys will see them on the individual reading. So we have the Chariot for Monday. There's movement. We are readying our ships and maybe adjusting our sails a little bit, feeling that energy of maintaining and reserving that right at any time to change direction. So Tuesday is our potential blocker challenge. So what may come up this week as a potential blocker challenge? Ruler of Rings. So this is going to bring in a King of Pentacles type energy for us with the Ruler of Rings. So we'll feel into exactly how that might be showing up for us this week as a potential blocker challenge. So a card that typically indicates a lot of abundance and generosity and, you know, sort of providing for and feeling very secure and grounded and certainly connecting in with that earth energy. What's coming in here with that? Okay, Wednesday is our midweek blessing. So let's see what's coming in for Wednesday's midweek blessing. Chieftain of Staves. So we've had so many court cards lately. The full moon reading was filled with court cards, which was super interesting because they're all different archetypes from fairy tales. So that was really neat. The Chieftain of Staves has been here this month. In fact, at the very beginning of the month, this is like the Queen of Wands energy, the Witch of the Tarot, bringing in the fire, the sparks, the inspiration, the magic, making it happen. sunflower energy too. So we started this month really connecting in with the flower energy, and specifically that sunflower is feeling a lot of yellow has been coming out too, with all of this solar plexus, fire, I am, bravery, courage, joy energy coming out. So I'm feeling this continued strand of energy. Thursday is how we are growing. So how we are growing through this week, through this month, how did we grow? You know, the first and last month cards tend to be sort of like setting the stage for the month and sort of reflecting back and all of it. So it's kind of synchronistic. I'll have to see, when did this Chieftain of Staves come up, because it was at the beginning of the month for sure. And she may have even been in a position of like a Monday, Tuesday. I don't remember, but I can see her on the altar. I'll have to look that up. Thursday, how are we growing? I'm telling you, court cards, Poet of Rings. This is like the Page of Pentacles. How are those seeds you planted? These intentions that you set, you know, perhaps at the top of this month, or, you know, we're kind of getting to that midway point of the year. We're entering into June, the 6th month of the year. What is coming in terms of each of those seeds you've planted and what you are fostering, what you are cultivating, watering, and caring for right now? Page of Rings coming in. How we're growing. And then finally, Friday is going to wrap up the week and wrap up the month. It's the 31st. It's the last day of May. Odin, what do you have for us? Let's see what's coming in for Friday, last day of May. Ooh, Odin, don't play around. We've already had this as a Friday card. This is the Three of Axes, the Three of Swords. So yeah, we see that target, that Sagittarian bow and arrow shooting for the target, and it is a anatomical heart pierced by 2 axes with 1 on the ground. So we're going to feel into that energy, the rune, the seasonal energy of what is passing, what's being released, what we're letting go, what is going to stay in May is what I'm hearing. What is going to stay in May that's not coming with us, but that can be bittersweet. You know, there's something there to sort of reconcile, to let those feels flow so that we can truly step in, let those feels flow, so we can step into the new. So we'll be breaking this down over on the Sharecast. So once again, if you are not there yet, please check out the link. It's free, it's fun. You can request your personal card to go with these and your rune stone, and we'll get into all of these messages and more here on the Sharecast. I try to post them on my YouTube channel as well, but piecing them all together makes for one long video. So feel free to just binge watch and check in as you'd like over on the Sharecast. Okay, guys, don't forget, if you're interested in joining me for June, it's up, it's ready. I would love to know if you're coming along as I set the intentions for that altar this week and get ready to connect with everyone in the month to come. Okay, guys, let's go check out our messages for this week. All right, guys, we have come full circle through the month of May, and we are on that final week here as we move through just a couple of days with a little bit of energetic weather to report on. As we started out this month saying that it was a lovely month, that we were going to sort of have a welcome reprieve from all of the very extreme energies that we navigated throughout the prior weeks. How are we feeling now as we come into the home stretch? So we have something very momentous. I mentioned last weekend. I'm going to bring it up here again because it is very profound. Just happened last night. Jupiter moved into Gemini. So this is definitely one of this year's defining events when Jupiter moves into Gemini. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and it is this planet of luck and growth, and it's bringing forward for us choice of where to from here when we look at what we want to expand in our life. What are we taking with us? Are we looking at old familiar ways, new adventures? How are we going to spend this expansive time? So Jupiter spends about 12 months in each sign of the zodiac. So it tends to color and shape the themes for the year ahead. So Jupiter in Gemini, which hasn't happened for 12 years, so the last time was 2012 that Jupiter was in Gemini, is going to be bringing a strong focus to all areas of communication, travel, transport, and media. So we could be seeing expansion or spotlight shown on any of those industries from a collective point of view. And then from a personal level, Jupiter and Gemini will guide us to look at our own communication style, how we've been expressing ourselves to others. We may find a need to confront where we haven't been truthful or where we've not been sharing from a truly authentic place. We may feel more drawn into writing, teaching, or sharing our story. Then we could feel compelled to perhaps start a journal or even start maybe writing that novel. Again, I talked about this last week. So if that's something that speaks to you, producing something big and expansive, go for it. Big quantum leaps in those areas. So Jupiter in Gemini is really going to help for our voice to be heard and will inspire us to create platforms for our messages to be broadcast out to the world. Now, on deeper levels, Jupiter and Gemini can also help to create more of a bridge between our human selves and our being selves. Of course, Gemini, the twins, and those different aspects of self. So, of course, yes, we are a spiritual being having a human experience. So creating balance there can feel very supported under a Gemini Jupiter. So I talked about it last week, but just wanted to mention it again this week because it's here with us for the year. And it is a wonderful time these couple of days here, especially as it's moved into Gemini, to really be thinking about what you wish to expand in your life in the realm of business, relationships, and more. Now, the other aspect I have to share for our energetic weather this week is between May 28th and 30th, 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, which is the Silver Gate portal. So 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮 is the royal star. So when the sun aligns with the royal star, it activates a portal of high frequency energy that some astrologers refer to as the Silver Gate portal. So this is a portal that beams down energy that can really sharpen our minds, deepen our intuition, and increase our wisdom. 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮 is also said to be the resting place for souls right before they reincarnate back on Earth. In this resting place, the soul has a chance to reflect on why it's coming to Earth and the lessons it will obtain. We can channel this space by connecting with our higher self and soul contract, and remember that each experience is a lesson. This is really aligned because I mentioned in the card pull that I used the inner child cards, the fairy tale tarot, for our card pull for the full moon in Sagittarius reading. So those of you that received that reading, you might remember that one of the cards that came up was the Child of Wands. And the Child of Wands was speaking to a story that was actually about, it was a story that I wasn't familiar with. And I'm just trying to see if I can look it up real quick because I had never even heard of all of this. And actually that card was about this exact thing. The Little Prince was the story from the fairy tale world. And it literally was talking about this child that stays on that star. I'm just looking at it to see, wow, that's pretty cool. So we definitely got a little nod and synchronicity here about a message that came forward for us through the full moon in Sagittarius. And so it was ahead of this portal. So this feels really aligned. Very interesting. Like I said, I'm not familiar with this story, The Little Prince. If you are, I'm just going to pull up the card so you can see what I'm talking about because I'm looking at it and you're not. So hold on a second. Okay, here it is just so you can see. I'm just kind of following scattered breadcrumbs all over the place, but it was just occurring to me that this card that came up in our spread for the full moon in Sagittarius was about this story, The Little Prince, that I'm not familiar with. You may be, but there was this beautiful reference to the stars in this card. And I loved the message that it brought forward that I want to share with everybody to just kind of set the tone for the energy we're stepping into. The appearance of the little prince here is a beautiful gift to you. The sweetest love is blossoming in your life. Climb aboard your butterfly of personal transformation and soar toward the awakened child of love that lives in your creative imagination. Take a moonlit walk and watch the twinkling stars. Do you see them smiling at you? Can you hear their childlike laughter? This feels so connected as we say that this star, this Silver Gate portal, is known to be this resting place where a soul prepares to begin this fool's journey, this go round, this lifetime, that, you know, in that moment, that soul is completely clear and aware of all of the experiences that it wishes to have during this next journey, this next leg of its fool's journey. And so if we could tap into that knowingness through our creativity, through our inspirations, through all of this abundant energy that we have here between the Jupiter and Gemini and this Silver Gate portal, may we get a little taste or a remembrance, if we will, to close the loop on May's channeled words being, may we remember, to remember anew whys and wherefores around many of the experiences that we're having on this fool's journey as all being a part of this divine act that we are playing out. So let that be an inspiration in your choice for this choose your own adventure in the where to from here. So we'll get into that now as we dive into our cards. We're going to start with the Oracle card coming in from the Time Traveler's Oracle and then roll into our tarot messages. Okay, we're beginning our messages this week with a card from the new Time Traveler's Oracle, this gorgeous deck. We've been using it for the full moon and Sagittarius readings. Again, still available. If you would like to get one, you can have a personal card pulled from this deck along with your fairy tale tarot messages. But for this week, for the collective, we have pulled card 14, Flow, which is taking us to the River Nile in Egypt. So the message says, we're traveling now to Egypt around 1000 BCE. The land looks similar geographically to how it looks today. One of the longest rivers in the world, the Nile River, creates a fertile swath as it flows through the arid landscape. It begins in the rivers that flow into Lake Victoria, located in modern-day Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, and empties into the Mediterranean, more than 4,100 miles, or 6,600 kilometers, to the north. Its great flow of water enables thriving cities to sprout in the desert. We are delighted to catch a ride on a barge on its journey down the Nile. All along this river are lush green riverbanks, a striking contrast to the barren desert through which it flows. As we float by, we see people along the river washing their clothes and playing with their children in the shallows. From our vantage point, we see so many boats and barges moving in both directions up and down the river. When they are traveling north, they can flow with the current. Then, when ships must travel south, the wind generally blows in their direction, allowing them to use their sails to move forward. In this way, the Nile exemplifies the word flow. So the time traveler's message here is, it's not always easy to surrender to flow and lose sight of the shore. However, this card is urging you to take a risk. If there is a situation in your life that isn't falling into place, let it go. It's a sign that this is not the right time. When you are truly in the flow, you don't need to exert effort to make this happen. When you're in a state of flow, you aren't pushing the river to go faster, and you aren't swimming against it. You're just flowing around every obstacle. This isn't the time to try to control the events of your life. Everything falls into place when you enjoy the ride rather than resisting the drift of the great river of life. If you run into a blockage, don't try to push through it. It is a sign that you should move on to a different path. You don't have to do it all yourself. Let the Creator support you. The glory of the universe flows through you. Don't resist it. So a beautiful message coming in to go with the flow, right? But also acknowledge that that's not always easy. It can feel difficult. And when I say that, it's saying it is easy to flow, but it may not always feel that way, right? We might feel that fear or ego, of resistance or attempt to control in order to feel safe. You know, and we kind of have that theme coming in here with this boat between the barges that we see here. And of course, we're about to roll into our tarot messages that we're kicking off with the Chariot that's also featuring, Odin's Viking ship, that we feel, this sense of getting our bearings and feeling like we are safe to journey onwards. And so, just kind of feeling into that and being present with whatever is coming up in terms of the feels, especially when we're in these pivotal moments of, what we're leaving behind and where to from here. And especially if some of those things that we wish to bring into our life or those places that we want to arrive seem so far off in the distance, seeing these amazing ancient pyramids here and thinking about the near impossible task of imagining how they could have possibly been erected, especially in the time and within the limitations that would have existed at that time, technologically, etc. It enables us to expand our awareness into maybe the unknown and help and guidance from unexpected places or from places of greater realms and more. So feeling all of that coming in here as we think about where to from here for 2024, as we again start to round this point of May coming into mid-year, kind of reflecting back, but then looking forward and allowing ourselves to flow forward with the least resistance that we can put up in terms of just allowing things to unfold divinely. So let's go ahead and get started with our tarot spread and see what's coming forward for us this week. Okay, guys, we are kicking off the week with Monday's card that has come forward as the Chariot, the major arcana card 7, with some movement, with some flowing over those waves, which do look a little rough, right? So there is this energy of moving through all of the feels and the emotions that water resembles here as the Chariot is bringing in this balance. You can actually see here the light and dark ravens on either side of the ship. So we have this energy of finding that balance point in order to flow forward. So starting this week sort of with this opportunity to sort of come into balance and alignment. And we're going to talk about the rune that I pulled for the week, but I also want to point out the rune on this card in the lower right hand, which is going to be 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮. And that's going to be the rune of journey, movement, and rhythm. So, we'll talk about the full-on message coming in through the Chariot, but in terms of, it's so funny because this, I think, was the rune that we pulled for the first week of this month, because I remember making a joke about it reminding me of 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, like it made me think of Queen and Radio Gaga. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just drops in, I say it. But it's funny because there's this full circle on the journey this month, right? That we're coming back and we have some familiar faces and energies on the altar. I've brought back our beautiful flower altar cloth that was definitely featuring that sunflower that we saw so prominently with this chieftain of staves that we'll talk about for Wednesday. But we see 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮 coming in here, the rune of movement, embarking on a journey, either physically or spiritually, with this guidance to be mindful of how you are carrying yourself, to keep your ego in check. Bring order to the chaos in your life and be aware of how things can get out of hand in your life if you allow it. Well, let's see how that matches up with Manaz, the rune that we chose this week for us collectively. We have this coming in here, talking about ruling the human potential. You are less powerful when you lack connection with others. It is important to share your gifts and talents with your community. Treat yourself and others with respect. Be self-centered, but not in a selfish way. You must take care of yourself before you can take care of others. So, both of these coming in here with in order for the journey, the movement, the rhythm, the flow to go, clearing out some of these kinks. I'm also going to say clearing out the junk in the trunk, because I like to say that about the chariot in general. Before we go on any journey, any trip, when we're talking about our chariot, the vehicle that will carry us from here to there, we are best positioned for that journey when we make sure that everything is ready and in balance, that there's air in the tires, that they've been rotated and balanced in alignment, that we've got gas in the tank, that the junk in the trunk is cleared out. So there is this sort of culminating of everything coming together to be sort of sorted and cleared and prepared so that we can flow forward. So, these two runes bringing in that message of that, flowing into the journey, but also Manaz reminding us about the human potential and recognizing that we have to take care of ourselves first. We have to fill up that tank in order to carry others, in order to be a support for others. So, there is that sense of securing our own oxygen mask first and checking in with our own spiritual gardens. The rest of these cards are really going to bring us back into the flora and the garden analogy of, what we have planted, what we are nurturing, cultivating, and how checking in and seeing the state of growth as we have moved through this month in reflection, but also in anticipation of where to from here. The chariot readies itself. So let's look at Odin's message around the chariot to see what's coming in here to support us kicking off the week. The chariot is balance and speed. Following the path in front of you, you see nothing else but the success that is yours. You are determined and strong. No one can sway you to think any differently. You have come way too far to back down now. Stay focused and keep striving towards your intended goal. Sail that ship to your destination. So yeah, this is about motivation, strength, willpower, and the fact that it comes from within. And yes, these external forces, the tides, the weather, the other ships in our midst, all of it, all impact us. We feel the ripple effect, like in the wake of another ship or something that has moved through these emotional waters, we all impact each other. So there is this reminder. I'm also feeling that as a more collective message is that whole, yes, we're all navigating these seas. We all have different vessels in which to navigate them, right? And so we're all coming from different places and experiences and different places in our journey as far as readiness, as far as openness and more. So there's definitely a sense of surroundings and being aware of all those different environmental factors, but this is really happening on our own ship, right? Within our own vessel. Finding that the balance, the strength, the willpower, all of it. And, part of that is being able to identify what those blockages are, the thoughts, the feelings, and other things that could be coming up that we're really feeling tossed around by the waves of emotion. That's what the water represents, is emotion. And of course, chariot is the Cancer sign of the zodiac. So there is a lot of deep feels. And there is a spotlight shown on some of those things such as home and family and our environments and things that could be deeply impacting us at this time and maybe even making us feel limited in our ability to fully unfurl our sails and go for it, or maybe you feel like you really are ready to set out on a new journey, or you are doing that. That's part of your week ahead as you're going somewhere. For some people, it can literally be travel. It can be spending a lot of time in your car. It could be getting a new car. It could be anything to do with vehicles, I do my chariot chats. That's where it comes from. If you didn't know, that's why I call it a chariot, because it represents our vehicle, our vessel. So let's see where it takes us from there. But it's our one major arcana card that's setting our tone here for the week ahead. Let's take a look now at Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday is bringing us into a potential blocker challenge, and she's one of our 3 court cards this week, the ruler of rings. So she's bringing in this energy of the King of Pentacles. So again, remembering with our court cards, it's not about male, female, queen, king. It's about, again, in the spectrum of embodiment of the aspects of a particular suit, in this case, the rings or the pentacles, the earth energy, the ruler is the embodiment of it all. It is the most realized aspects of the rings or the pentacles. So ruler of rings really is a beautiful energy about being very down to earth, grounded, abundant, generous, very connected to the earth and our surroundings. How is this going to be a potential block or challenge? Let's take a look and see what Odin has to say about the ruler of rings. Remembering that court cards can represent you or someone in your orbit. It can represent personalities or aspects of situations, and also, just things that you would be best served to embody yourself in the face of, in this case, blocking or challenging the things that could come up throughout the week. So true to your word, patient, grounded, and committed, you are respected by those around you. More often than not, whatever your intention to manifest is manifested and then turns to gold. There are no limitations in your world. You have learned that things take time to manifest, and you are in it for the long haul. Your dreams and aspirations are built on solid foundations, as is your personality. You have the power to create security and wealth. You are the ultimate business owner. You are a leader for those who seek to create fortune. You are highly intuitive with your mind in the cosmos and your feet planted on the ground. So a little bit of as above, so below energy here. Now, one of the things I was getting, and I'm feeling compelled to bring in the earth element because I'm thinking, we may have a need to get grounded here. I'm bringing in this healing energy spray. I love earth energy, the earth element, to bring in a grounded sense of boots on the ground, roots into the earth. All of this watery energy could have us feeling a bit, seasick, a little tossed around from being at sea, a little sea logged. So there could be an opportunity, especially with so many two pentacles here this week, the rings coming in here twice, and just this energy of really connecting in roots, getting grounded, connecting with the earth. Now, the thing about pentacles is, yes, it is also about money, material, earthly things, safety, security, all that root chakra stuff. So what does it look like when that is challenged? When it's in a state where we could have a blockage or something that, we have an opportunity to clear. Well, it can be about things like materialism, things that are focusing too much on materialism, or perhaps being out of touch with reality, like a little bit ahead in the clouds, caught up in all of our daydreams and aspirations, but not really rooting them and taking practical steps. Expecting that, some big takeoff is going to happen, but we haven't done, the initial groundwork to create a pathway forward. So it asks if, there's some sort of a disconnect potentially from a higher realm of knowledge and earth energy. So it asks if you are overindulging into life's luxuries that could be creating walls around you. So beware of rigid patterns of control, possessiveness, and misuse of power. Now, again, remember, this can be yourself or others. It can be aspects of a situation. We talked about control in flow as well, right? So there is this sense of when we are trying to control something and hold on very tightly. And it's funny because traditionally, they're holding on to that pentacle and really looking at it very intently, especially the queen of pentacles. This again is like the king, but really holding on to that pentacle and possessing it. This is my little nugget. This is my ring, my golden ring, my possession that I treasure. And yes, I share, and there's abundance and generosity. But if I'm holding on to this little nugget, this pentacle, this seed, this ring, I can't pick up anything new. Right? So there's this invitation to open to flow, to allow for expansion. And we see that it is actually just sitting on the knee, right? It's not being held on too tightly. And so it's creating an opportunity to, yes, use your resources, use the things that you have acquired through hard work, through time, dedication, through, acquiring of knowledge, all of these things. Use those nuggets, those seeds, those tokens to help you to build the new. But be open to allow yourself to receive and also to trade. I'm feeling like an energy exchange, an opportunity for us to give as much as we can receive. And when we're open to receiving, that's when we start to see this abundance popping up. We're seeing this openness, this offering that's coming in. And of course, we'll talk about that more for Thursday's energy. But as a blocker challenge, it's all right here, right? She's in this abundant garden. She's on her throne. It's the king. It's the ruler, right? Let's take a look at the rune that's there. But even so, it's challenging because, there can be these rigid patterns. There can be this prone tendency to hold on. Now, this is 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, family, ancestry, heritage, and home, this rune. Okay, so let's take a look at that real quick, just to kind of weave in some more meaning, because of course, yes, the pentacles do speak to roots, ancestral lines, our bloodlines. It's our root chakra. You see the red dress, also connecting us into family patterns and family things and ancestral things, so there's a number of different ways these blockages and challenges could show up this week. 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, the rune of family and inheritance. Honor your ancestors, for what they have bestowed upon you was what they created through trial and error. Strength, willpower, and success. Yeah, we talked about those key characteristics. Be the best that you can be and do not dishonor your ancestors. It is your duty to live this life to the fullest, creating success along the way that can be passed down to new generations. Create wealth to be passed down from one generation to the next. So yes, it's legacy. I think that those words, so as not to misinterpret them with any weightiness of expectation that don't disappoint your ancestors. I've talked about this before because I think especially some of our generation now, as the elder generations are passing on, the current generations are inheriting, right? There's an inheritance. And with that inheritance comes a lot of stuff. Prior generations had a connection to possessions in a way that is no more, that has really shifted in, and it's so fascinating because even taking it back with the time traveler and looking at different moments in time, think about this. Think about the ancient Egyptians and the mummies, how they were buried or entombed in these pyramids with all of their possessions, with food, with jewels, with riches. It was believed that, that saying, you can't take it with you. Okay, that's what I'm feeling. You can't take it with you. So this has to do in some ways with our relationship with possessions, our relationship with things. And even another layer for some people, and this is bringing in the ancestral healing that I know a lot of people have been doing, and I've been talking about that work. And I'm just reminded that, the special offer I had done over Mother's Day is available through the end of this month. So through the end of this week, if you wanted to explore an ancestral healing or inner child healing session with me or a cord cutting, I have a special offer there on my link for my bookings along with the June Empowerment Pack. So do check that out if you're interested, and you can get it as a certificate for a later time at the special offer if you want, but that's available through the end of this week. So ancestral patterns of when it says not to disappoint them. I know a lot of people, especially I'm thinking of my mom, she's an only child. She inherited a lot of stuff from her parents who very carefully and thoughtfully preserved things that were handed down from their family line. And I'm talking a lot of beautiful things and meaningful things that, we've secured or have in a place of prominence, of respect, appreciation, of use, whatever it may be. But there's also a lot of crap. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that it's obsolete. We've outgrown the need for those things that at one time held meaning. So anyway, I'm going down a little rabbit hole here of diversion when we're on this journey, but this is for some people, especially with this call to clear and create space and declutter and release, that there could be some ancestral lineage type things that we're holding on to. Could be physical belongings, could be emotions, could be different traumas or hurts or old stories or something that's coming up for us to take a look at as sort of turning over. I'm feeling like, because we're going into the spiritual gardens here, like compost. So you do those ancestors proud by utilizing those things in a way of repurposing them or releasing your entire family line of, in some cases, the burden of carrying those things any further. So anyway, I'll leave it there. But like I said, I do feel that there's a wider message there for some people. So if that's speaking to you and you do want a personal card pull, you can let me know and we'll explore that a little bit with your card pull for this week. Okay, let's roll into the Wednesday card for our midweek blessing. All right, Wednesday midweek blessing, and it is confirmed Chieftain of Staves here, our Queen of Wands, was in fact the very first card we pulled for this month. She represented Monday, the beginning of the month, to kick it all off. So if you wanted to see that, you can swipe all the way back here on the Sharecast to see the messages that came forward that first week of May, which was also really setting the tone for the entire month. And now, very synchronistically, we have a midweek blessing coming in with this same energy. I don't have favorites, but she's my favorite. I love the Queen of Wands. She is the Witch of Tarot. She brings forward all the magic, the sparks. She's a manifester. She's a shapeshifter. She brings it all forward in this beautiful way, again, with the sunflower connection that came in through our flowers and this sense of shining boldly and brightly and courageously, solar plexus. And you can see all the yellow. And in fact, if you hear me, what I keep knocking over, because I talk with my hands behind the camera, are the sprays that I brought in for the full moon. So I think they want to be here too. Joy, lemon joy, and Archangel Jophiel for beauty and wisdom. Again, these are the beautiful Metatron healing energy sprays from Angelic Celestial Colors. They're a part of my color healing work I do with Metatron, the ancestral and inner child healings that I mentioned, cord cutting. We bring in these sprays, infusing them, bringing light and healing into the aura. So it's working with your energetic body, but we also use a lot of intention, just like a proper chieftain of staves would. Lots of yellow, bringing us into the solar plexus. Midweek blessing, fire, right? We have this energy of the wands bringing the fire, the sparks, the inspiration, the creative essence. So this brings forward, again, an archetype of, does this bring to mind yourself, somebody in your orbit, an aspect of a situation, a personality, beingness that would be recommended for you to embody? You are a confident and beautiful being. You shine bright for others to follow. You are extremely appreciative of everything in your life, and so you give back from a heart space full of gratitude. It is through the experiences in your life that you are connecting with that spiritual part of yourself. Growth has come from the lessons that you have learned. You are a social butterfly, transforming others as well as yourself as you interact with those around you. You are a courageous being. Keep shining your light. I remember what I said with that card when we got it, because I was like, let's just say you don't think of yourself as a courageous being or that you're a social butterfly, right? You might be very comfortable, introverted, hermit, antisocial, what have you, right? This is an act as if situation where we can strive to embody tapping into this frequency that we all possess on some level and in varying degrees, because there's something to be said for all of the different flowers that we see here on the wheel. The sunflower is quite prominent, right? It's tall, it towers above, it's big, it's bold, you can't miss a sunflower, right? But then there's something like, say, the dandelions. And remember, dandelions were a totem that I brought in for the month of April when we talked about seeing wishes or weeds, and recognizing all of the very magical and medicinal properties of the dandelion that often gets overlooked, picked, plucked from the earth, being named as a pest, a weed, something that can be disregarded or something that can be treasured for all of its properties. So the point being that each of these flowers, no matter how small, how delicate, how sparse or bold and big, however they bloom, they all have something of beauty. They all have something of inspiration that is to be celebrated, that is to be activated. So this is where we have this midweek blessing of really stepping into our spiritual gardens and thinking about, and there's really something to be said for the flowers, because we can tap into the messages from each of the flowers and what they bring forward for us in terms of properties and how we can work with them and how they may each uniquely bring forward something of beauty and meaning in our own gardens. So something there about the flowers again, and really tapping into your own garden and see how it's growing. And like I always say, and I'll talk about this for the Thursday energy, is we don't feed the weeds, right? In our spiritual garden, we're aware that there are weeds. We know that happens, right? How do we address those things? How much energy are we putting into the weeds versus the blooms? And that's where, embodying this energy that's coming in through these royal characters and this sense of, what we are bringing forward, the seeds we've planted and how are they growing. The Chieftain of Staves comes forward for us to really have this opportunity to step into our boldness, our confidence, our courage to shine, whatever that means. It doesn't have to be on a great big stage or in this massive garden. It can be just a tiny little corner of the earth where we work our unique magic. That there is a thing of beauty and meaning in there for someone. And we trust that there is, as we just tap into what lights us up, what brings us joy. And this has been the recurring theme for us, to do what lights you up, what brings you joy, trusting and knowing that there is magic in there for others. And so we have that coming forward here as a midweek blessing, maybe tapping into your creativity, maybe applying some sparks and fire into something that you've let kind of lay dormant, something that you were very passionate about before that maybe you haven't had the time or space to really focus on, that you could create some time or space this week, or take steps in the direction, even if it is just through intention, to bring that forward. So let's take a look now at Thursday's message. Okay, Thursday is how we are growing. And I just love this energy. It's the poet or page of rings, pentacles. And as we have ventured into our spiritual gardens and we find ourselves here amongst the trees, you see the trees on either side here, that the poet or page of pentacles represents young energy, youthful energy, new beginning, novice energy, seedling energy that we actually see is starting to really come into a blossoming. Poets, pages tend to be like messengers that are bringing forward some type of message offering, right? She's holding that ring in her hands, which traditionally we see that coming in with the pentacle as a seed, as a token, as an offering that, again, I want to be open to receive. I'm not sitting there crossed off, set in my way. If I'm open and flexible and in flow, then I can grab that ring, bring it in, and utilize it in my spiritual garden to help me grow. How are we growing? I love that we see action happening here with these flowers. And, flowers are all unique and different and grow at different rates, in different conditions. Some need more water, less water, sunlight, other plants that we are best served to put around them, or some that we would be best served not to have around each other, just kind of handling each of those pots, those plants, those flowers as all the different aspects and components, loving all of the matchy-matchy coming in with our altar cloth. each one as its own individual aspect of us, or our spiritual gardens that we are growing here on our Fool's Journeys. So the page of staves is talking about as you embark on a new spiritual journey of learning and self-expression, you are eager to learn new things about who you truly are, why you are here, and what life actually means to you. Your mind is open to all possibilities. You are ignited with passion and new ideas. That's all that, all this earth energy of really rooting in and feeling connected, and then being inspired with this fire of the staves, bringing in that energy. Oh, I'm sorry. That's because I'm looking at the staves. I'm like, wait a minute, page of staves. No, I'm like, we're earth energy and fire. So that's interesting. We've got this energy definitely kind of overseeing this energy. Like I said, this is definitely like the spirit of the wands, the fire, the sparks, and then this is sort of like the little protege of the pentacles. So there's this new beginning of what's starting to take root. And so yes, it's going to be overseen and driven by your passions, your sparks, the fire. Okay, but what we want to talk about here is the rings. So, Poet of Rings. Sorry for any mix up of words I may have been saying so that you're clear. This is going to be the Page of Pentacles. Poet of Rings. You are strategically putting into motion your goals and dreams. In order to be successful, you need to stay focused and aligned with your purpose. Create well thought out plans to lay the solid foundation for your future. Learn new skills to bring your project to life. Manifest your dreams into reality. I love that because, like I said, the Jophiel energy came in for the full moon because I was really feeling this energy of beauty and wisdom. But this is also a fantastic energy to connect into for learning, students, for projects, for things that we are expanding into. So I'm going to bring that in here again, infusing the energy of how we grow as a fertilizer, if we will, that you see. Pentacles are the slowest moving suit of the tarot. So it's slow, it's deliberate, it's intentional. It is about, setting that foundation, those roots, checking again the quality of the soil and all of the conditions. And like I was saying, some of that, especially like the ancestral stuff and things from the past that we're turning over now, can create that fertile ground, can create that healthy new soil from something of old. So it's making the old new again and coming back around again. I'm also feeling a little bit of that for people. So really feeling into growing into the new, inspired by what has brought us here to this point. And we see her robe being green and an orangey kind of red. So again, I'm feeling this connection between, with that belt around the solar plexus, a connection between the green heart chakra and then the orange red of the sacral and root chakra, our passions, our roots, our foundations, our inspirations, but also driven by the heart and that feeling fullness of all that brings forward. So again, growing into each of these different aspects through all the healing work that we've been doing, through which we now may be seeing these new blooms starting to come forward. So let's go ahead and wrap it all up with this Friday stinker we have down here that we're going to talk about in just a moment. Okay, the final card for this week, the final card for this month, we bring in the Three of Axes, or the Three of Swords, which is known as the card of heartbreak, of hurt, of mourning, of sadness, of some sort of, again, heart and axe or sword connection, which I've also seen being cleansed in the rain, turning over like the leaves that are being released with the seasons, that this is a connection between head and heart, right? Our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs, and our heart, the feels. And so there's a flow happening here. It doesn't have to be quite as visceral as we see it here, although we know that there is very extreme and deep feels that are involved in many times bringing together or finding any type of harmony and balance and healing between head and heart. So this is a card that just came up the other week in the same spot. It was the Friday card a couple of weeks ago, and definitely brought forward with it its own types of feels, which of course for each person is different. But I do recall that many of us were feeling a lot of that connection there. And even just for me, with this sort of target that's being hit, knowing that we just came through this Sagittarius full moon and the Archer and this energy of sort of, hitting something right on the spot. And it could be something that we didn't really want to have to experience, to feel, to really face, but yet here we are. But it's all good. It's all for the growth. Into every life, a little rain must fall, right? So into every spiritual garden, these storms can be cleansing and clearing and healing. So the Three of Axes talks about you experiencing a test of your inner faith. The energy around you may not make complete sense to you, which is creating anguish. The energy may not make that complete sense, so the frustration, pain, and grief that can come along with that. Keep in mind that this too shall pass, and there is growth at the end of this phase. This is an opportunity to dig deeper into your inner self and learn more about who you are. How can you begin to see the bigger picture? Whatever is happening for you, not to you. I know I said then, and I'll say it again, one of my favorites. It's all happening for us. It's all unfolding. It's like if we could go back to that little star, the little prince, and this energy of the card that I was sharing in the energetic weather report, of sort of having that like pre-game moment ahead of this lifetime, ahead of this fool's journey, and seeing the grand scheme, the big picture, that when we get down here in the nuanced details of it all, right? And we're down here and it's visceral and it's real, tangible, and we're having these feelings, which is really what we came here for. But at the same time, each one is meant to be savored and experienced. And I know we might think, well, why do I want to savor things that sound like grief and anguish and all of those, unsavory words? It's all a part of having this full holistic experience as having a human experience as a soul. And so having all those feels and coming through all those experiences is all a part of it. So know that we are on this path towards recovery and healing, so that if we are feeling stuck in our thoughts, right? The swords representing our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs, feel into the situation, heart, to see where we may be able to release even more, right? To open up, to flow, right? All paths leading, the yellow can't be denied, right? The light outshines the dark, the clouds. There's a silver lining. The sun will come out tomorrow. This too shall pass. All of those perhaps cliche sayings that also hold that frequency of truth. Not our first rodeo. We know this to be true. This too shall pass, right? It's a time of moving forward, of accepting any pain and learning from it, finding the positive in the trauma or pain that has been experienced. Because when you experience trauma, your heart space becomes wide open, cracked open, and the soul must then find a way to heal it. So the person that you were before entering this Three of Axes is never the person that emerges. That is so powerful. It's something that we've been talking about. I know Mila and I talked about this in Stars and Cards last week ahead of the full moon, when we were tapping into those energies about the versions of us, these past versions of us, and then who we have stepped into now. This sort of soul maturation that we're coming through, and recognizing that this has all been a part of that journey, and in bringing it all together. Now, what I love about this card is, yes, it's an air element because it's the swords, but there is also a lot of water because of all the rain, because of the heart chakra, because of all the feels. And so that's actually bringing in here the rune on the card of 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, right? So we see that here, 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓮, and feeling into the meaning there, it is the rune of water. This is interesting because last week we got that rune and 𝓘𝓻, which is the rune of ice. And we talked about, this is so perfect. This goes all the way back around to all the messages of the stars and cards energies we tapped into, because it was this, are you frozen or are you in flow? Is it ice or water, right? Because if something has been really rigid, really stuck, frozen in time, frozen in our beliefs, frozen in our limitations, whatever it is, we are best served to flow, right? And so the rain, this shift in the weather, creates this thawing out, this opportunity to return to this form. Water, 𝓘𝓷𝓽𝓾, the rune of water. Water is all around you, within you and above you. Water is needed to sustain your health and well-being. Water represents the subconscious mind, emotions, and intuition. If you are feeling heavy emotions, let them out by crying. Water, just like your emotions, cannot be controlled, and you must let them flow. You are being asked to trust your intuition and further develop your psychic skills. So I really feel here we've come all the way full circle with Odin to the chariot, to this ship, to adjusting our sails, to recognizing, yes, the conditions will change and the conditions can be extreme, one extreme or the other, and everything in between. Flow is our highest and best guidance as a means to get from here to there. You can try to skate on that ice, but there is this guidance coming in when we set the intention that we're on this awakened path, that we're wanting to have this intentional journey for which we are in the driver's seat of that chariot, poised to step into the next leg of this adventure, right? In the driver's seat. What is the best way for me to get there? In flow. But also, we've got to clean out the junk in the trunk. We've got to create this balance and bring in this opportunity to really ready our vessels into the new. And so again, to the extent that we're just brought back around each time to look within to see what all's going on in there that is coming up for healing, coming up for just to be acknowledged and integrated, released, shed, forgiven, however it's posing itself to you. This is all the stuff of the Fool's journey. And so it's really beautiful because it really just kind of brings us full circle through this month. And certainly it doesn't end here. And, and by the way, as you've seen my decks, if you want to have a comprehensive reading with me and you have a favorite deck that you would like to see, you can always request that your reading be done with a particular deck. So Odin will be here and I may just bring him out any old time that I feel moved. But just know that as you've seen, I have a little bit of a collection, speaking of inheritance and passing on things that had meaning to somebody at one time or another. I have a little cache of my own. That you're welcome anytime to request a particular deck if you would like for a card pull or for a more comprehensive reading. And speaking of comprehensive readings, once again, ways for us to connect. If you would like a personal card pull here for the week ahead, feel free to let me know in whatever way works for you. But remember, there's a number of ways, especially as we embark on a new month, on a new journey. We will have new intuitively selected decks and themes and altar elements to support us through June. And we will also have a new sharecast. So keep your eyes peeled. I start a new sharecast each month just to kind of keep everything not overloaded and just kind of have a complete volume of May here that you're welcome to go back and take a look at anything that's come forward. But would love to have you join me in the June Empowerment Sharecast as that gets created and posted in the coming days. And also, of course, my seasonal bookings that are available, the June Empowerment Pack that's now booking, along with some of the seasonal celebrations such as the summer or winter solstice spreads and other things. You can check out the link that I'll be sharing here at the end or in the caption if you're catching this somewhere else. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate the connection with each and every one of you. I'm sending you much love and many blessings for a beautiful week ahead.